to this episode of the Thriving Artists Podcast. I'm Jamie. I'm one of your hosts, and I am an artist. I am also a top teacher with Skillshare, and I live in Vancouver, Canada with my partner and very silly dog named Rhea.
And I'm Kaylan Butine, your second host. I'm an artist focusing on textiles and abstraction and the founder of the Artist Mother podcast. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana with my partner and 3 kiddos. And we are here to share an episode with you today on how to get back into the studio after a break. So here at the Thrive Together Network, we all just took a community sabbatical and took 6 weeks to focus on the summer and take a break. This can be really hard to do, but it has been amazing to see the results personally and just know what's been happening in the community as we've been on this rest together.
We're now back, and on the network, we start our weekly live sessions. We also start our artist virtual residency program. So I feel like we went from break to being full on back at it.
Yes.
And in the next episodes, we are actually going to share what an art residency is, if you don't know, how to prepare for one, and talk more about our program. So if you want to learn more, you can always join us at the thrivetogethernetwork.com. And all the info is there. You can become a network member, and then it's no extra fees to actually join our art residency if you want some accountability and get some stuff done.
Yes.
So in this episode, we want to share 5 tips on how to transition from break mode into artist mode. I think summer is a time where I'm extra feeling this as well. We're going from nice weather into now I'm supposed to do work. It's really hard.
Yes.
So I have found this transition hard in the last years, but I actually have started to implement these strategies that Kayla and I put together, and I feel so much better. Imagine that. So we want to share these. So our first tip of how to get back into the studio after the break, Kaylan, I'm going to have you start us off with that.
I am happy to. So tip number 1, super simple one. Set the date, guys. When you have not been clear with yourself or the folks around you, your family, about when you're officially coming back from break, it can be a really hard transition. Our mindset can shift and change during the different seasons of our life. This is super simple, again, but so important. Set that date in your calendar of when you are, quote unquote, back to work. You may do art or, other work during sabbatical times, but having this date when your studio routine and your mindset is back can really help you have a stronger break and have a powerful return back to the important work that you do as an artist. So tip number 1 is set that date.
I love the idea of a powerful return.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So our next tip is one of my favorites, reflection. Reflect on the break. Many of you know I love reflection. I love a good journal prompt. And on your first day back, I feel always inclined to jump into email, to jump into a pile of work that I've sort of let build up over the time. And if you don't take the time to reflect on the break, this is when you kind of miss out on the ahas, on the big learnings of that time and that rest that you've taken. I bet you've had amazing ideas during the time, and if it just flows right into work mode, those are lost. Mm-hmm. So what I love so much about the network, TTN, is that we meet every Tuesday at Art and Tea. And what I love is I get to force everyone to reflect all the time and journal. So I just think they're really important because it's hard to make this a priority to stop and think. So I just love when people, take that time for themselves, because this is the good stuff. So I wanted to share some prompts that I will be forcing people to do as I do. And so here are a couple prompts for you to consider. What did I learn about myself during this break? What am I proud of from this break? What do I know for certain now? How did the time and space help me grow as an artist? Do it now. Don't let you get all wrapped up and moving on into the next wonderful things, because the wonderful things are coming. I promise. Take that time to reflect so that you move on again, loving this powerfully into work mode and studio mode.
Such a good one, Jamie. Thanks for that. On this episode of the Thriving Artist Podcast, we are featuring our virtual artist residency program. All members of the Thrive Together Network are invited to participate in our community-wide artist residency. For the month of September, we are committing to a specific goal, putting our heads down and digging in.
Kaylan, the big question is, what is an artist residency, and how is this any different from regular studio time?
Great question, Jamie. An artist residency is a structure or a container from which you build or grow something specific that's related to your art career. So this structure is a set aside time. It's a special time in order for you to focus and commit to your practice or a specific goal that you have.
Yes, and what I love so much about an art residency is that it can offer different artists different goals for the different phases of their careers. So whether you are needing time to create new work, find inspiration, you're wanting to explore new materials, or do some research, this is a time to complete a specific professional practice goal. Artist residencies can really give you a kick in the butt that help you get these things completed.
And in our community, the Thrive Together Network, we are focused on growth and intention, not productivity. This is about connecting to your purpose and your why as an artist, buckling down and getting something done. So we would love for you to join us. Sign up to become a network member at thrivetogethernetwork.com and learn more about the residency structure and join the flow of dozens of artists committing to an artist residency in the month of September.
There's amazing power in the process of doing the artist residency as a community. Together, we are setting aside time, using the power of the network of artists to motivate, inspire, and support us.
And we would love for you to join us. So please sign up by August 31st to join the artist residency happening during the month of September. And if you sign up 2 weeks earlier by August 15th, we will give you a couple weeks of information and prep, and we'll be kind of getting everything lined up and ready together before we begin.
And of course, our artist residency program is just one of the great things we offer on the Thrive Together Network. There's no extra fees or cost to sign up for the residency once you are a Thrive Network member. Please find out more at thrivetogethernetwork.com.
Our third tip is to clean up. So I don't know about you, but I find it impossible to make good art when I'm just staring at a blank page and thinking about making a masterpiece. Coming back to the studio can be overwhelming, much in the same way. It's just hard to prioritize what to do when you feel like there's so much to do all at once. So our third recommendation for you is kind of the first tangible one. We want you to clean up your workspace. Spend a day tidying your materials, your surfaces, that dusty stack of papers, your art bin, really wherever you make work or whatever you call the studio. Give it a good cleaning and organize it. I promise this will help you enjoy being around this part of your life and enter into work mode. So going through the process of setting your return date, reflecting on your break, and cleaning up will definitely help you feel lighter as you move back into work mode. I'm wondering, Jamie, if our last two tips are just as simple as these.
Very simple. Don't worry, we got you. We don't want to overcomplicate this. This is just, how do we transition gently, powerfully, yet gently, okay?
Yes.
So before jumping into that huge list, before you have all these new ideas of all the projects and all the amazing art you're going to make, it's going to happen. The first thing we want you to do is make a mark. Make something. Sit down, get out a small piece of paper, canvas, something smaller the better, and make anything. It can be not something you ever want to show. It can be terrible to look at, but this really represents to yourself that you are an artist, you make work, and you're back to the studio. I want this to kind of keep you going, because the idea is that you start small and you want to keep making work, because that's what happens when we get to the studio. It's like going to the gym. You do not want to go, but when you go, you think, why am I not here every day? And you picture your new life as a fitness instructor. You know, we all do it. None of us have become them. And so similar with this, we want us to picture our life as an artist because we're making work and we love it. I know what it feels like to have all the lists and ideas and to make all these plans. But at the end of the day, the heart, the core of that is you have to have artwork. So let's just start from day one with something small that pushes that whole process.
I feel like the making a mark recommendation is kind of like exfoliating. Like it's like getting the dead skin off so that you can just move forward and get back into your rhythm and flow. But we often get held back by that first layer of icky stuff that's on top. And you just got to get it out. You just gotta scrub that off, right?
Yeah, throw it away. Don't ever, this isn't going anywhere. We're not showing people. Just make that mark.
Yes. So number 4, make the mark. Number 5, our last tip for how to get back into the studio after your break is to keep it small. So I don't think we've ever suggested this, Jamie. We're always encouraging artists to dream pretty big and to go for big things. But when you're coming back from a break, I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed. You kind of are looking 6 months to a year ahead and getting back in the routine of how to make all those huge goals come together for you. Now that you've kind of set your studio return date, you've done your reflection, you've cleaned your studio, you've made your marks and got that first layer of mark making back in the studio, I think planning small is a good way to kind of close off that transition of getting back into the studio. So what we actually want you to do is to pull out your calendar, set up your studio routine and commitment for the next 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks, because at the end of those 2 weeks, you're going to know a lot more about how you're working, kind of what phase of life you're in, and how the people around you are transitioning to you being a working artist again. I'm thinking of myself in, coming back from summer sabbatical. I'm going to have 3 kids in school for the first time ever. So if I, kind of went through my big plan of getting back into the flow of things the way it was working for me in the spring, like that wouldn't be the same. So we're asking you to dive back in, give yourself a buffer, but plan small initially before you kind of get back into those larger goals and your 6-month or year plans.
Well, the worst thing to do is have a plan that's not really going to work for you or the people around you, because let's be real, reality isn't always in line with our artist dreams.
Yes.
And then you fail quickly, and then it feels like it's not possible. So by just setting that small plan of 2 weeks, it becomes a reassessment point instead of a failure point, because we all know that feeling.
Absolutely.
Well, I think with these tips, we have officially transitioned back from break. I feel like that was quite easy. How are you feeling, Kaylan?
It was easy, and I think so helpful. I think just knowing how to reintegrate and kind of get back in the flow is, just a skill that we have to learn over time. And so we hope that us sharing these tips is helpful for you as you enter into the fall, enter into a new season of life in the studio.
Mm-hmm. And we would love to see that studio. So one of our, challenges to you is to clean up that studio and show it to us. So we'd love to see a picture of a clean studio. We have our Instagram at Thrive Together Network, so you can tag us so we can see it. And if you're on the network, we are going to have our weekly challenge that we do every week, and that is to clean up the studio. So you have a head start, get that cleaned up, and post that picture on the network. Of course, every Tuesday we are live with Art and Tea. And if you want to join our thriving community, you can go to thrivetogethernetwork.com and join us there. We'd love to have you.
And as always, just a reminder that Jamie and I are here for you. We are cheering you on, and we so intensely believe in the work that you are doing to be a thriving artist.